Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritually Fucked podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Mulholland. Let's get into the show. Episode 13 The Witch Wound and Your Intuition. I always knew episode 13 was going to be some sort of like witchy special one because 13 is a special and ethereal number, and we're going to talk all about that. I thought, what better podcast than The Witch Wound? So, we're going to get into all the witchy shit. And I have my notes here because I am a professional, if you haven't realized that. And we have kind of a new setup today. I'm learning, okay? I am learning. And instead of plugging, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, but I'm using my iPad to record instead of my telephone. So, we're going to hope this works. And if it doesn't, well, we're learning. That's the learning game. But welcome to the episode The Witch Wound and Your Intuition. The reason I wanted to do this podcast, well, all my podcasts usually come through downloads or I just get a fucking thought that I should do this. And this came through. And then when I was doing my little research, I was like, whoa, this is exactly what I'm going through. Of course, it happened to land on episode 13. So it's all aligned. I'm following my intuition and life is rewarding me with alignment. So why 13 is a special number. We're going to get into that right now. So there are 13 full moons in a year. So that's kind of witchy, right? And they each last about 28 days, the same length as a woman's menstrual cycle. So that's kind of witchy. And anyways, 13 became the feminine power, intuition, and nature's rhythm. And then in my notes, which this is what I found when I researched. It says all things patriarchal systems later tried to suppress. And I don't know, maybe that's why they made it Friday the 13th, like this evil number. I don't like to get into that shit. That's not my niche. So that's the deal with number 13. There was also 13 people at the Last Supper, and we love Jesus, so that is really cool. And I want to preface this episode by saying I do not classify myself as a witch. I do not call myself as a witch. And that is because even though I have dabbled into the craft, the word witch, it does just translate to the word wise, but to call yourself a witch, it's a level of mastery that I do not have, nor do I associate myself with. And it's such a freaking diluted word on TikTok. Everyone's calling themselves a witch, and it's just people don't know what a witch is then. So if someone's claiming themselves as a witch, well, you better fucking question them because it's like watching a YouTube video on being a doctor and then calling yourself a doctor. Like the term witch, you hold a lot of fucking power and you have a deep, deep understanding for the practice. And I'm telling you, none of those girls are on TikTok. Why I don't call myself a witch. It is so diluted. It's so thrown around, just like the word spiritual, which is why I named my podcast Spiritually Fucked, because the term spiritual has just been so twisted and it's contorted, and to each their own. It's just not my realm. I'm not a witch. I do witchcraft in a sense where I do candle magic. I teach candle magic. I perform candle magic. But I can promise you also, I want to preface, I am doing it in terms of light. There is black magic. There is dark magic. And if you call yourself a witch, you probably are doing all of that because that's the level of a mastery that a quote unquote witch has. And I personally would never do black magic. I would never teach black magic or tell anyone to go do it. The way I do teach my candle magic or teaching of quote unquote witchcraft is to bring light into this world. That's my whole fucking point in this existence on this life, is for light. Again, it's just a stereotype, oh, you're a witch, you're doing dark black magic. No, that's why I don't call myself a witch, because the people who do call themselves a witch, they're classifying themselves as doing that. So I am sharing the essence of a witch. And, back in the day, we're going to all get into it, but I really just wanted to make that clear. And know that if you do choose to call yourself a witch, just know that you are holding a very powerful term. And that's great. Go do it. And I also just wanted to come from a more like grounded sense where I am not teaching black magic. Do not come for me for black magic. And I know I joked about cursing someone who, or putting a hex on someone who was impersonating me on the internet a while back, and that was real. I was meaning that, but it ended up being AI, and we're not gonna. That's a whole nother other rabbit hole about entities going through technology. But anyways, back to the witch wound, back to the original point. There are a lot of rabbit holes we can go down. I'm a rabbit hole girl. I could be a rabbit farmer if I wanted to and have a farm of rabbits and their holes because I love going down rabbit holes of shit. But this is about the witch wound and your intuition. Whether you call yourself a witch or not, I'm sure you've had them in your lineage because your lineage has been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's never ending. When did it start? I don't know. I'm not a scientist in that. But I do know that a woman's intuition is God's greatest gift to women. And the reason why there is this witch wound is because, well, we're going to get into it. I'm going to tell you all about it. But to preface, it all goes down to a woman trusting their intuition and why some women these days can't access that intuition or don't trust themselves. And hey, I've been there this entire year. And I have my notes and my bullet points that I'm going to read so I can deliver this point across effortlessly. What is the witch wound? Well, the witch wound is inherited trauma from centuries of persecution of women who embodied intuition, healing, sexuality, or spiritual power. So, there was a time, I don't know when, let's see, did I put that in my notes? Oh, roughly 14,000 to 17,000. That was a long fucking time ago, but people, women who were expressing a quote unquote knowing, they just had an inner knowing, whether they were practicing witchcraft or not. These women would use their intuition and say, oh, because we were way more tapped in back then, by the way, because we didn't have fluoride, we didn't have all the shit clogging our intuition these days. Like, women were very fucking tapped in, so they did have a sense of knowing. They would trust their intuition and they'd be able to relay things, and people would come to them for health issues or whatever. But of course, like the patriarchy or whatever the fuck you want to call it, people would take these women because they were so powerful, because they had this inner knowing, and they would burn them at the stake, and they would do the witch thing. I don't know, throw rocks at them, but the stuff you see in movies, that actually happened because of those traumatic experiences were in their bodies. They were literally being burned at the stake in front of the town because of listening their intuition. It goes down in lineages, and that kind of trauma is embedded in our fascia. So even though it's 2025, I could still be doubting my intuition because of something that happened lineages ago, and it wasn't inheritedly, just gonna say it like that, fixed or addressed yet. And I can see my lineage, and I can see that there's a lot of powerful women in my lineage, and we probably had very powerful witches in our lineages way back then, and it hasn't been addressed yet. And of course, I'm the fucking lineage breaker. I mean, good lord, who manifests and develops menopause at 22, whose ovaries dies at 22, if there is not meant to be a revival and a rebirth of intuition and trusting your power down there. And like, I'm the lineage breaker. Okay, I signed up for it. I know it, and I've been doing a lot of fucking work. So you're welcome, mom. You're welcome, grandparent, grandma, you're welcome. Great grandma, you're welcome. So that's where it stems. It's pretty much someone, a girl, they were girls back then, women, whatever, trusting what came through intuitively and then being ridiculed by it, being rejected, saying it's wrong. And you can only fucking imagine what that does to you. And then what it does to your lineage is, and if no one addresses it in their lineage, they're just going to think all their thoughts are crazy. You hear that? Women are crazy. It's so prevalent in my life right now because this year I haven't been trusting my intuition because I have been told I'm crazy in the past, and it's embedded in my fucking fascia from my fucking lineage. And, you know, all my feelings have been suppressed because I feel too much. And I subconsciously, it's a subconscious wiring that I think that is wrong. And if you were a woman who has an inner knowing, every fucking woman does, men too, but a woman's intuition, you hear that shit all the time. We have a fucking portal in between our legs. Like, we walk around with a portal of creation in our fucking womb, and you're trying to tell me that our inner knowing is wrong when you're tapped in correctly. I mean, there are fucking crazy ass bitches out there, but they're probably in birth control and they're probably consuming substances that are not so good and are giving them crazy thoughts, which I've been there. I was on birth control in high school and I was fucking throwing tantrums at 17, throwing shit at walls, and I had crazy motherfucking thoughts because I was on a substance that was giving me those thoughts. But again, it's a whole mess of chaos of why women doubt their intuition. But the witch wound, quote unquote, the witch wound is just a root, or could be a root of all of this. And so women back then, they got fucking burned at the stake for having an inner knowing, and they were just following their heart, trusting their intuition. Not even following their heart, they were just saying what they knew without proof. And because they didn't have proof, they were burned at the stake. And a lot of that happened because they were so powerful and men were scared. And now I'm getting a download now that the men were probably scared of these fucking powerful women because the men they didn't trust their own power. That's how reflections work. You terrorize, you reject people for their own quote unquote power because you don't believe in your own. And back then, they should have just came together. You, we need men and women together. It is the polarity that creates life. We need them together. We need them coexisting. So the fact that these men were burning women, like, that is messed up. We need the both. I am not a woman who's like, I don't need a man. No, I fucking need a man. I've seen this throughout my whole life. Like, women and men need to come together and create a divine polarity. And so the fact that the men were, burning these witches, it just makes me sad because I'm like, how fucking weak were these men? Did they not? They were wounded in their own masculinity that they had to burn women. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But that's just a download I got. And by download, I literally just mean a fucking thought. I'm not channeling anything. I just got a thought. There's that. So how do you know you have a witch wound? Self-doubt. When you know something, but you can't prove it. Fear of being judged or called crazy for spiritual beliefs. Hello, my whole life. Holding back your voice, wisdom, or creativity. Hello again, my life. People pleasing instead of trusting inner guidance. Sound familiar, Taylor? Literally, when I was reading this shit, I'm like, this is exactly why I need to talk about this. And people pleasing, man, it is fucked up. Why do we do that? We do it so we're not rejected. And I'm realizing my biggest fear in life is being rejected. So I'm abandoning myself in fear of being abandoned by others. Do you see that, how that works? And do you see how that not works? It's silly. Again, these messages echo through generations later until you are here listening to Taylor Mulholland's podcast and you are the cycle breaker. You get to decide to change it. And if you're a man here too, that's fucking awesome because you get to be that lineage breaker too. And you get to see, oh, was I a witch hunter in the past? Do I have something against women's intuition? Do I have something against women ... in general? You get to break that because there were witch hunters and there were witches back in the day. And all I can think about is Hocus Pocus right now because I watched it a little bit this week. But that is just like, I haven't watched the full movie, so I really don't know what it's about. But I'm just thinking how Hollywood portrays these things, and they're absolutely true. But Hollywood is like, full of demons and dark forces. So they twist it into a whole caveat of things, and I'm not saying that movie is, but because I actually haven't watched it. But just know that if Hollywood does a movie about it, it's true. Have you seen iRobot? Do you see what's going on with AI right now? Have you seen Snake Eyes? Did you see what happened to that poor man who got shot in the neck? Like, Hollywood's on it, people. So, yeah, the witch hunters, it's like I see it, well, I feel it. I feel it clearly that the men and the women in my lineages, like there was witches and there was witch hunters. I see it so clearly, not even in my own family, but down my lineage, how these men in my family don't trust these women and their own inner knowing. And it's just, it's again, it's not inherently their fault. It's in their fucking fascia, it's in their DNA, it's through our lineage. I'm probably going to be saying that word a lot, so I'm sorry. At least I'm saying it correctly, but it's like if they don't have awareness of it, it's really not their fault. We run 95% of us on unconscious, subconscious programming. So if something is just not brought to the surface, it doesn't give you an opportunity to bypass it, but it gives you an opportunity for compassion. Because if people are not aware of their problems, they're not aware of their problems and could be running on a subconscious program. So it's not that you're going to bypass if they're causing you a problem in their life. You're just going to have compassion and hold space for that to unravel, or for them to find it on their own, or for you to speak up, or for you to figure it out. Because I've seen what's going on in my family, and it's like I bring up the witch hunters and the witches, and it's like, okay, am I being witch hunted in my own family because of something that was past generations ago, but it's showing up in nuance 2025 day experiences? Am I making sense? It's like, let's just say a man in my life who's in my family doesn't trust my inner knowing, my intuition. Is it inherently his fault, or is it my lineage is from 1,000 years ago, just digressing down the chain until someone's here to break it? And maybe I'm the one who needs to break it by speaking up and using my voice, but I'm not going to hate on this man for doing something. I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to be the lineage breaker, and I'm going to recognize and also have compassion that this could be a subconscious program he is running on. Not inherently trying to be mean person, or inherently trying to tell me my intuition's wrong, or my inner knowing's wrong, or what I'm doing, I need proof to prove myself. No, I'm going to take it with compassion. This is just having a relationship with anyone in your life. You take things with compassion and you go from there. Because again, if someone's running on an unconscious program and they're not aware of it, just give them a little grace. Maybe make them aware of it. But dude, I'm sure I've run off unconscious programs in the past where I was doing shit unconsciously or being mean unconsciously, and I didn't fucking know until someone called me out or I was aware of it. That was a whole nother rant, but maybe that will bring a little compassion in your life. I really appreciate people who have compassion for others and also make change in their life, because you can have compassion, and awareness is everything. It's not bypassing the issue you're dealing with. It's having compassion for that person, giving that person grace, and then making a change in your life, or making a change in the relationship. That's how relationships work, but not completely cutting them out. That's where I was going. Okay. Long rant went to just don't cut them out, or don't ridiculize them as a bad person for doing what they were doing. Sometimes people don't know. If they're trying to purposely hurt you or be mean, then that's a whole nother subject. But sometimes people just don't know they're doing things that are being mean. So be nice to everyone. Okay, back to the podcast. The witch wound and your intuition. It's reinforced through social systems. And the first bullet point I have is medicine that discredits body wisdom or energy awareness. And you guys, You look out on the market. I'm not even going to get fucking into it because you see everyone's on the pills. There's just a mass eruption of not even supplements, medications, supplements, vitamins. Like, we are ingesting so many things that discredit our body's natural wisdom or awareness. And I've been there. I've been the person popping 25 pills a day, whether it was hormone therapy or medication from the doctor or even supplements. Like, we flood our bodies with external substances that then later disrupt our energy field so we can't be intuitive. They block all the systems. I mean, fucking fluoride. Are you kidding? If you are still using fluoride, this is your day to stop. Be the lineage breaker and stop fluoride. It is disrupting your freaking pineal gland. It's calcifying it. And our pineal gland is what is our guideway to our intuition. So if it's calcified, which maybe this was the point of putting fluoride in water or putting fluoride in toothpaste, where your tooth just absorbs everything. Your teeth are so vital in your health. And if you're putting a substance that is toxic on your teeth every day and it's going twice a day and it's going straight to your fucking brain, what do you think their intention was? To discredit your intuition. So you have to stop. You have to pull back. Stop with the fluoride. Become intuitive. That's just societal systems. Here, you need this. You need all these external things to make you feel better. You really don't. You don't. You just need your intuition, aware of your body. We need some boosters every once in a while, not booster shots. I want to be clear. We don't need the booster shots. What I meant by that is maybe we need some Hishu or some vitamin B extra. That's what I meant. I would never tell you to get a booster. But there's another thing that's clogging your body's wisdom. So again, if the government's telling you to do something, just question it. Don't discredit it. I would discredit it, but just question it. That's all I'm telling you to do. And then workplaces that reward logic and masculine productivity over emotional intelligence. Now, I am kind of like half-half with this because it's like we need both. I would like a man in my life to tell me what the fuck to do sometimes because I'm a very emotionally intelligent person and very emotional. But sometimes I need to fucking get out of my head and like I need masculine energy. So it's rewarding it or like depending on it. So using masculine productivity 100% of the time and never emotional intelligence. And I know a lot of fucking women that run their business through intuition. And I think that's great. I personally do not have a business yet that I can say I run my business on intuition. I think both is great. Again, polarity is fucking everything. I need structure in my life so I can hold the emotional intelligence. So this podcast isn't like, fuck the patriarchy and fuck all the systems of masculine. No, it's we need both. And I love both. And just how extreme we've gotten. Extreme is never good, people. We want neutral polarity. Look at nature. Just look at nature. I'm just going to leave it there. So it says these frameworks were built during eras when feminine intelligence was mistrusted. And so it just has gone, again, more and more extreme. And that's why this whole fucking movement of women empowerment is coming in. Because it's like, again, with the extreme things, it's like we're extremely masculine. And then the women are like, well, we want to be extreme now. And it's like, can we create balance, please? That's all I'm saying. But you can see how that has created this extremist from an era that happened, which you're burning women at the stake. Things are just going to naturally develop from that. So again, like how the witch wound shows up today, it's fear of being visible. It's wanting to hide. You don't want to share your spiritual beliefs. You don't want to share your intuitive work. You feel ashamed. You're going to be worried. You're going to be judged. You're dismissing intuition for logic, which, oh my God, that has been my lesson this year. I'll get an intuitive hit to do something and then I try to make logic out of it. That never works. And then I try to ask other people externally and I'm like, fuck, I should have just listened to myself intuitively. Or you're shying away from using your voice, leadership, or success because it feels dangerous. It feels dangerous to share and express yourself because in the past, when you did that, you were burned at the stake. Do you see where I'm going? And then comparison or competition among women. It says a side effect of generational survival. I see this a lot. I never really related it to the witch wound back then, but I guess so. I guess society making it seem like you're in competition with everyone or to compare yourself to everyone is just obviously not the way to fucking do it. I mean, cuz when women I'm getting another download, I'm getting another thought. Women when they come together, they become more powerful. So of course, like society is going to tell you to not do that. Because again, we get together, we become more powerful. And honestly, I'm looking like maybe this was a good thing because who knows what would have happened. Literally think about it. Just like what would have happened if this didn't happen? Like everything is divinely orchestrated. It's supposed to happen. Women are reclaiming their power. Like obviously it's sad. It's sad that they did this and women have lived lives being ashamed of their intuition, but look at everyone reclaiming it now. I'm someone, I see the perfection in everything. Obviously, this is a shame that this happened, but again, look at the revival that women are having now. Look what I've had this year. That's a fucking revival. So, I don't know. Okay. I just like to see the good and the bad in everything. That's polarity. That's how you live a good life, in my opinion. You see the good and the bad, and then you take the lesson from it. And the lesson from this is that women are now stepping into their intuitive path. And that is great. We love that. Does any of this sound like you, girlies? Girly pops? Am I making sense to you? Because I have some ways that you can fix it. And the first thing before I even look at my notes is to stop using fluoride. Okay? Okay, witches? Stop using the fluoride. Bullet points, back to the bullet points. Reclaim quiet time. Intuition speaks softly. Find out how your intuition speaks. Mine, personally, comes through an expansive, light, airy feeling. And I've been learning and honing into this a lot is just it feels again like expansive, it feels light, it's not repetitive. Logic to me comes in very repetitive and intense, and you would call that my ego. And I love my ego. You guys, I'm BFFs with that thing. She has taken me so many places. She's there to protect me. So I am friends with my ego. Therefore, I am in communion. I'm in communication with her at all times a day. And when you start to develop a relationship with your ego and you stop trying to tell it that it's wrong or to shut up or to die, you don't ever want your ego to die because your ego is what's guiding you to do better. When you feel that fear in your stomach, it's your ego knocking on the door saying you shouldn't do this. But that is your opportunity and your strength to move past it and to step into your higher self. And your ego is the one who tells you to look both ways before you cross the street. It's protection, it's survival. You just have to learn how to communicate with it because whenever you shut out anything, it's never a good thing. You welcome everything. That's the divine feminine, that's surrender. Surrender to your ego. You're also surrendering to your higher self. So you're making them both compatible. So when you spend quiet time, you learn how these two communicate and you learn how your intuition comes through. And for me personally, it could be different for everyone. It's just my voice in my head and it's very calm and it feels in my body light. It feels expansive, it feels soft, and it feels good. When my ego gets in, it's usually, I feel like a hot feeling. Like I feel like it's hot and cold, and my ego is like hot and it's intense and it's a little bit like a darker, I don't know, I'm a feeler. I feel very deeply and it's more of like a heavier feeling and it's usually repetitive thoughts like you need to do this, you need to do this right now. And so just quiet time is so cherished. If you can do quiet time in nature or in water, you're doing a good thing. Body awareness. Again, are you a feeler? Does it come through sensations, gut feelings, heart feelings, expansion, a chill? Goosebumps are very spiritual or very intuitive. Like they're usually for me confirmation or remembering. It's like my skin is remembering, my fascia is remembering something. That wind, it gives you goosebumps. It could be a fucking burst of energy coming your way and it's remembering in your body. Or it can be a ghost. Goosebumps can be ghosts. I remember that was the thing in elementary school. Like, goosebumps, there's a ghost. Maybe there was. This is not a ghost podcast, but that is true. That happens. Discernment. Intuition is neutral, not fear based. Learn to feel the difference between intuition and anxiety. And that's a thing I was saying, like anxiety as in repetitive, anxious feeling. You have to do this, you have to do this. Intuition's very soft, neutral, not fear based. Take what you like and leave the rest. I don't know if I fully agree with this. Just have discernment by practicing. That's how you learn discernment, is you practice. And you ask, is this is a good one. You should write this down. Is this in my highest potential? And that could be highest potential for yourself or highest potential overall in in the world. Is what I'm about to do the highest potential for me and the world? Like, obviously, we want the world to be a good place. Ask yourself, is this a good decision? And then practice small intuitive actions. Again, just if you get a voice in your head and it's soft and it's neutral and it's light and it feels expansive, listen to that. Listen to that intuition and just keep listening to it and practice. It's like I used to do this when I would drive and I would just say, where's the best place to park? Intuition guide me. And it'd guide me. And sometimes I'd find a spot like right away and sometimes it wouldn't lead me to the right place, but I'd never say I'm doing something wrong. I just said, okay, next time. Because when you start to hash things as you did that wrong or you're not good enough, that's when it stops working and it just stops. Because if you're getting an intuitive pull to go somewhere, whether it's right or wrong, you still want to appreciate that. So just do small, tiny actions to test your intuition. Should I eat this or this? Should I text this person right now or should I text them later? Just start listening, say yes more to those little nudges. And if you go to the wrong place, quote unquote wrong place, you will never be led to the wrong place, but it's maybe not the best case scenario. So be it. You listen to your intuition, you're learning. Congratulate yourself and move on to the next thing. Life is always evolving. So you're never going to be in the wrong place. The only wrong place is if you're living in an internal hell. If you are living in a world of hell internally in your mind, then that's probably the wrong place. But that's your life and that's your fucking choice. Me, I would not choose to live there, and I would choose to teach anyone else to get out of that place. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably, or I know you're a high frequency soul. So do your best. And then sisterhood and safety. Healing happens in connection. As much as I hate to admit it, because I love being alone, this is what happens. When you come together, you open your heart, and you share with others, healing can happen. It's co-creation. You share your truth with others that can hold it. And if you have been wounded in the past, whether it's this lifetime or many lifetimes back, I'm so sorry, but you have to learn how to connect. Well, you don't have to do anything. It's your fucking life. But choosing to heal that wounding, that sister wound or relationship wound, masculine wound, whatever, you are going to expedite your quote unquote healing or your life. Your life is going to become so expansive when you start to share or be with others. And if it was hard in the past, I'm sorry. I've been there. I've been there this year. And it's just a reflection of all the fucking sister wounds I've had in the past. God damn, I've been bullied. I've bullied others. I've been kicked out of group chats. And I was never picked for dodgeball. There was a lot of experiences that could have totally, and at one point did, shut me out of life completely. But I am choosing to be vulnerable again and choosing sisterhood and choosing friendships. I do my best. I'm not fucking perfect. I am perfect as, okay, here's the thing about being perfect. I am perfect as long as I do my best. I am trying my best, and that is perfect in my own way. Okay? But I'm not perfect in societal standards. Like, I would never tell you everything I do is absolutely correct and right. I still am learning, you guys. So if you thought I was perfect, wrong, I'm not. No, I know no one ever thought I was perfect. Or maybe you did. Maybe you did. Okay, last one. Release the fear of being seen. This has been the lesson of my entire life. As much as I want to be seen and I love being an actress and being on theater and being on the stage, boy, is there fear behind that. And my voice still shakes. And I'm still in singing lessons and I still question why I sound so bad. But I still do it. And in my notes it says that's modern day reclamation. It's just to share your fucking voice and expect nothing in return. That's another lesson. You're learning a lot about me in this. That is another lesson I'm learning, is not to expect anything in return. Because you can share your poetic heart on your sleeve and you could share the most vulnerable part of you. But if you are still expecting a return for that, that's when you're going to be disappointed. And that's the lesson I've learned this year. So you just got to do it for you. Share your heart for you because it feels good. And if it's a little scary, I think you're on the right path. I think you should still do it. If it's a little scary, sit with that feeling and say, okay, is this scary because my ego is telling me to not do it? Like, actually, I should not do this because it's just not right or it's not in my highest alignment. I should just take extra awareness and maybe do something else. And it's protecting you in a safe way. Or is it telling you not to do it because you're being pushed for more? You're being pushed for something better and your ego is scared. This is another thing I'm learning a lot this year is, and again, I'm learning a fucking lot this year, like tenfold, because I'm in my Saturn return and things are just, the energy is so expansive and big and rich right now. And I know a lot of my friends are going through the same thing. Like, things are just so intense right now, and it's great because there's a lot of shifts happening, but it's also like, okay, this is a lot of feelings. I'm being triggered a lot. Have you noticed that everyone is being so triggered these days? Oh my God. Literally so triggered. They're pulling triggers. Do you see that? Yeah, man. Triggers are, oof, they're our best blessing because it's teaching us how to heal deeper in ourselves. But when you aren't taking those triggers as gifts and you're trying to cut them off, you're missing the healing point. And so I've been triggered a fuck ton this year by myself, by others. And it's just learning how to, again, go in between that ego and higher self and say, is this my ego trying to protect me from the situation, or is this my ego scared? So you really just have to develop a relationship with your ego and your higher self. And it all comes down to building the relationship with yourself. So, how do we develop that? Reclaim quiet time. And again, stopping the fluoride. When you have safety with yourself, when you have unconditional love for yourself, when you have a strength in your knowing, you can share that truth with anyone and no one's going to fucking hurt you. Developing those relationships are going to only help but expand your healing, quote unquote healing, whatever that even means. Your evolution here on earth, having connections and safety with yourself is going to skyrocket you because, again, with those triggers are expanding you. And so if you're avoiding everyone because you keep getting triggered, it's kind of a red flag. You're avoiding your healing because our triggers are guiding us to the next up level of our life. And boy, let me fucking tell you, this has been a year of triggers. A lot of sister wounds have come up this year, a lot of brother wounds, a lot of like every relationship wound. It's my Saturn return. I'm fucking returning to myself. And to return to myself, I must go through these uncomfortable layers that I must let go. And they usually come through hard lessons, not all the time. But if you're being triggered, you're being asked to let go. You're being asked to shed. And so you approach these triggers with compassion. And it only will lead you to expansion. So trigger, compassion, expansion. But in between the compassion and expansive, you got to do the work. You can't just awareness of it. You have to do the work and the rewiring. Practicing small intuitive actions. I used to do this when I would drive. I would say, okay, intuition, where should I park? And it would lead me maybe to a free parking spot. Or I would go down a lane and it was a mess. And I was at Trader Joe's. And Trader Joe's parking lots are a fucking disaster. So you really want to get good at intuition for the Trader Joe's parking lots. But just small intuitive actions and reward yourself every time your intuition is quote unquote correct. It will never be wrong because you will never be in the wrong place. It is October 13th, episode 13 of my podcast, and it's all about the witch wound. This literally fell into my fucking lap, and it was just a reminder that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be too. So even if your intuition leads you to maybe the not right place, it's the right place for you to grow. Release the fear of being seen. What a lesson this year has been. Speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. That is modern day reclamation. When you can be seen for whether it's your truth or just be seen in general. Showing up as you are in your strength and solitude as a person. This is just going to reiterate your nervous system that it is okay. It is okay to be seen. It is okay to be felt by others. And it is okay to be myself. And that goes into the nervous system. Trauma is a story held in our bodies. So if you are feeling anxious or you're feeling that not so good feeling in your body, that is your nervous system putting on the red alerts and it's saying, hey, this is not safe. You just have to teach it to calm it down and become safe again. It's rewiring. It's your body doing its job. It's warning you from what it knows. But it's your job to teach it safety in the uncomfortable moments of growth. Because not all growth is comfortable. A lot of it, and a lot of the good growth, is very uncomfortable. So it's teaching your nervous system how to be safe, calming it. There are practices. I'll name a few. EFT, brushing, breath work, tapping. Did I already fucking say that? Yeah, EFT is tapping. If you want to know more ways, maybe you should work with me one-on-one privately. I do that. But it's teaching your body that it is safe to do things that might feel uncomfortable, whether that's speaking on a stage or telling your lover that you love them. And you've never done that before because it's new and it's uncomfortable because your ego wants to keep you safe. But in order to grow, you have to learn how to do things like love others. So it passes through beliefs and behaviors. So beliefs and behaviors become habitual. They become habits. So when you hear things over and over and over again as a repetitive saying, like, don't talk about that, keep your head down, don't trust people, oh, where did you get proof? How can you prove that? When you continuously hear that, it becomes rooted in a habit in your brain and your mind. It becomes literally wired. That becomes your identity. I'm not going to go into it, but this is all about Joe Dispenza, what he teaches. If you want to change your life, you have to change your identity. And our identities start from fucking birth and through our bodies, through lineages in our nervous system. It carries through DNA, by the way. So if you ever say you're just like your dad or you're just like your mom, but you've never spent time with them or you lived in separate households, it's because it travels through DNA. Emotion carries through DNA. So when you have a habit that's locked down or a belief in your brain, it is just repeating a pattern in your head. And if it's no longer serving you, that's your time to have awareness and to change. There's nothing wrong with you, but if you are living from a belief or a pattern that is no longer serving you, it's your right to change. And trust me, this year has been a whole thing of rewiring my fucking brain because of the things that are not serving me no longer. And I'm realizing it's so hard to just have a thought and you know what you're doing is wrong, but you can't just change it overnight. It's a literal rewiring. And I wish I could just have a brain surgeon go into my brain and rewire it for me. But how do you rewire? Through beliefs, behaviors, and repetition. And this is where, a mantra could come in or whatever. But I'm not going to get into the neuroscience of it, but there is a lot of neuroscience behind changing your identity for the greater good and all that. But beliefs and behaviors, they pass down through DNA. Just remember that. Healing breaks the cycle. And what even is healing? For me, healing is choosing your higher self every single day. What is in the highest alignment of myself and for others? What can I do today that is going to bring me closer to that quote unquote dream self that I see? What patterns can I release today or work on rewiring that's going to bring me to my highest self? So that took a turn. This episode was about the witch wound and your intuition. And again, it's the rounding out of this episode is for the girlies to notice if they are still living in the beliefs and behaviors of their ancestors, or in the beliefs and behaviors of what's no longer serving them. And if they are doubting their intuition or not using their voice or afraid of being seen, this is your opportunity to recognize maybe this isn't you. Maybe this is something that's been passed down to you, or it's stored in your body, or if it's just a behavior that has been not serving you. This is your awareness. This is your opportunity to break the fucking cycle. You break the cycle now, you're blessing your future kids and their kids and so on and so on. And you're doing a blessing for your grandparents, or okay, boy or girl, whatever the fuck lineage breaker you are, you're doing a service to your ancestors and you're setting them free by setting yourself free. And how you do that is the awareness. And so I'm going to end it with this. Please write me a review. Okay, I never ask people to write reviews, but I just felt really called. My intuition called me to tell you that, to write me a review. I got to download a cosmic code to write me a review for my podcast if you like it, if it resonates with you. But just take note in your life and see if anything here resonates with you. And to know that wherever you are in life is exactly where you're supposed to be. And you can change at any moment. Maybe you choose now. Maybe you choose now to change. And you tell me about it. And then you go and you win $1 million. And then you give me that $1 million. Do you see how that works? Oh, my mommy called me, so I should probably call her back. I'm going to wrap this up. But anyways, I adore you. Thank you so much for being here. This podcast did cut out halfway through, so I kind of had to throw myself back in and pick up where I left off, which I actually have no idea where I left off. So I did it. I still showed up, and I really hope that translates. If there's anything I can leave you with, I already said that. Go listen to some music. Maybe that will be my tagline. I don't know. It's important for me to tell you to trust yourself and to listen to some good music. That's how I get a lot of my downloads. That's how a lot of my quote unquote channeling comes through. And so if I could remind you of anything, it's that you already know everything you know. And I'm only helping you remember. So I really have to go now. Anyways, I adore you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Even though I do this for me, it means a lot to know that there are people that receive this. So I have so much gratitude. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.